All right, everybody. My name is Joshua Kirk. I'm the program administrator for the TTIR program. So I am here on the governor's website, right? And I'm going to show you how to do the application and find your NAICS code and upload everything successfully. So let's go ahead and kick things off here. So to find your way to our site, if you don't have a direct link, you're going to go to organizations. We're part of economic development. You're going to click on that. And then under incentives and financing, you'll find Texas Travel Industry Recovery Grant. And that is us, TTIR. So you click on that, and that's going to take you here to our homepage, right? And this is going to talk a little bit about the program, when it got started, where the money comes from. It talks about how it's a $20,000 recovery grant, right? That caps at $20,000. It's up to $20,000. And we have our eligibility requirements here. One of the focuses that we'll talk about here is the NAICS codes. That's the North American Industrial Classification System. That's how every industry in North America is classified, right? So you start out with 2 numbers and it gets more specific the more numbers you have. So 7.1 is like arts and entertainment. And then, when you have 6 numbers, it's all the way down to, say, breweries, right? Okay, so it also has a list of forms that we can take. And I'll, once I go over to the other website, I'll talk a little more about those. Okay, and it's got our application schedule, and importantly, you can see our webinars that we have done. But this probably is the most important button, is to launch the TTIR portal. All right, so let's go ahead and head over there. So this is the portal page, right? And here's the portal instruction video. This is probably where you are now. If you're listening to me, that's probably how you got there. And it just talks a little bit about setting up your password and some more information about the program, what to do if you have technical issues, that sort of thing. So here we have the eligible NAICS codes, right? So how do you know your NAICS code? Well, there's several ways you can find your NAICS code. The first one is you can look on your tax documents. All right, so let's say you've got a 1040. I've got a 1040 example here that I was using for some training with lots of misspellings and all kinds of inaccurate info on here. But the point for this video is the NAICS code on your 1040 will be on your Schedule C, right? That's your business stuff. So over here in block B, it'll say enter code from instructions, and that code that's entered here, that's your NAICS code. Okay, so 722 is my taco shop, which is called Dinosaur Tacos. So that's your NAICS code on the 1040. Now, if you're not using a 1040, maybe you're using a 1065, right? So here we are with Dinosaur Tacos again, and we're going to want to look in block C on 1065, and business code number is your NAICS number, right? That's your NAICS code, 722-511. That's my NAICS code. Now, if you don't have a 1065, maybe you're using an 1120, which is your corporate income tax. I haven't filled this one out, but importantly, I believe it's on page 4. We look under 2A, business activity code number. That's your NAICS code. That's where it'll be. So it'll say, 722-511 for my restaurant. Okay, we're not going to save that. We don't need that. Now, if you are a nonprofit, you might have a 990. So this is the full 990 here. 990s are a little bit more complicated, so we've got to head all the way down to page 9, right? And we're going to look in program service revenue, right? So 2A business code, right? So whatever's in here under business code, that's going to be your NAICS code. All right. So we can close that out. And now, if you're not submitting one of those, you don't have one of those for whatever reason, and you want to do it the old-fashioned way and look it up, we have links to each one of these that is eligible. Okay, so we'll go with 7.1 for now. And so 7.1 we see is arts, entertainment, and recreation. Okay, so then it shows us some top businesses on here. This is NAICS.com. It's a little more user-friendly than census.gov, which we also have linked in case you prefer to use that. But it'll tell you a little bit about it, right? It'll show you all the different things that fall under 7.1, like racetracks and museums, historical sites, that sort of thing. So you can also search by your keyword, right? So I have a taco shop, right? That's what Dinosaur Tacos is. So I want to look mine up. I'd go and I'd put in taco shop, right? And I'd hit enter, and I'd look through this list here, and well, I'm not a machine shop. I'm not a barber shop, and I'm not in the iron ore mining business. So maybe taco shop is not the term I should use. Maybe I should try something a little different. So I'm a taco shop. What do I do there? Well, you know, I have people come in, they sit down, I have waiters, they come out to them. Maybe I'm a restaurant, right? So let's put that in and search that. So full service restaurant. That sounds pretty good. Maybe that's me here. So let's check it out. All right. So again, we get to see the top in this category. Good old Applebee's, casual fine dining. All right. So we can read a little bit about this here and provide food service. Patrons generally order, select items, pay before eating, other than mobile food services. Okay. All right. So full service restaurant. That sounds about right. It gives me some more examples down here. Right. So serving meals, full service, diners. Yeah, this is good. This is me. All right. So I know that my taco shop is a restaurant, and that is my NAICS code now. Okay. So it's not too hard. So I'm going to go back to the website, right? And if you want to do this through census.gov, it's linked right here. It's just not quite as intuitive. All right. All right. So what else do we have on this page? Well, we've got our required information and documents. So we need our 2019, 2020, and 2021 Texas sales and use tax returns. Okay, well, let's say you don't have those, right? Well, down here we have alternate forms. So instead of that, we could use a hotel occupancy tax if we have one of those. We could do a 990, right, if we're a nonprofit. We could use a 1040, 1120, or a 1065, right? Or you know, any document that you have that's like a federal income tax is going to be listed here. These might change. The list might expand or contract a little bit as you go along. So I'm shooting this today on September 14th. So if it looks a little different on October 14th, you know, don't panic. What's on our website is going to be the most up-to-date information. Okay, so if you don't have sales and use, you can use these. If you feel these better reflect your business, you can use these. We just ask that you try to use the same one for each of these years, right? So you wouldn't do a sales and use tax for 2019, a 1040 for 2020, and an 1120 for 2021. We'd rather have the 1040 all through, right? Okay, so what else do we need? Most recent quarterly tax form 941. Okay, Well, what if I use a third-party HR system or a third-party payroll? Well, luckily we've got you covered here. This is a payroll provider letter in lieu of IRS Form 941. You can click here and download it, send it to your third-party provider, and they'll fill it out, and you can upload it in place of the 941. Now, if you're not required to file a 941, of course, when you get to that part on the application, and I'll point that out, you can just upload a memo that says that you're not required to file one. Like if you have all 1099 workers and you don't file one. Okay, so what else will we need? Invoices, payroll records, receipts, that sort of thing for reimbursement. This is a reimbursement grant, so we're reimbursing you for things you've already paid for. So of course we need the records for those, right? So we all know what a receipt looks like. You know, you go to the gas station, you buy a Dr. Pepper because you're from Texas and that's what you drink. And they give you a receipt, and usually you tell them you don't need it or you wad it up and you throw it away. But in this case, for the eligible costs, we're going to need you to upload that receipt, right? It can also be like a bill that your utility provider sent you. Invoices, usually a little more formal. They'll have, you know, information, itemized costs, things like that on them. Okay, so what else? Veteran service or benefits letter, right? If you're a veteran and you want to claim that on your application, it'll give you a little priority bump. You just go to the VA website. I've had to download these probably a dozen times since I've been out of the Army. It's not difficult. You just go to the VA website and you can download it and you know, upload it there. We don't need your DD-214. It can make for some interesting reading, but that's a little more information than we need. All right. What else do we need? Your taxpayer number. All right. EIN, a social security number, one of those. Okay, simple enough. Here's a link to our FAQ. That's frequently asked questions, which is, of course, full of frequently asked questions. This list is growing ever longer as we continue on. So if you have questions about the program, go ahead and look here first. It's probably been asked, and we might have stuck it in there. This also has a sort of a breakdown of our eligible costs that we can reimburse for. So that's question 2. You'll want to view that. And then further down here at the bottom, we've got our application acceptance phase. Now, as I said, today is September 14th. So this phase is closed, and we are in the middle of this phase, the 7-1 phase. And for my my example, the taco shop, we saw it was a 722 NAICS code. So that would put me applying November 1st, right? So for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and pretend that it's November 1st and I can apply. Now, another thing about the NAICS codes that you're going to want to know is that, see, this 7-1 is very broad, right? So 7-1, as long as my NAICS code starts with 7-1, I can apply here. Now, if we go down to here, this is hotels and such. As long as my NAICS code starts with 7211, I can apply here. Now, if it was 7213, I wouldn't be eligible. But if it's 7211, whatever, this is the category for me, right? So as long as yours starts with what we have here, you're good to go. All right, so let's go on back up to the top and we're going to register. Okay, so we're going to pull this up, and this is pretty standard registration. This is actually not something we built. This is just Windows regular registration. So we're going to come over here and put our email in. This is the tourism email. If you want to talk to us, this is how you get in touch with us. So we're going to go ahead and put in our password. And make sure that we meet all of these. And we're going to confirm it. And it looks like they match, and I'm going to hit register. All right. So what that's going to do is generate an email, and it's going to send it over to, um, your inbox, right? Just like anything else. And you'll have to look for it. It may be in your junk box, right? Your spam folder. If it is, that's all right. Just go in there and get it. And you'll open it up and you'll click, it'll say, hey, welcome to TTIR, and click here to confirm, right? So you're going to click that, and it'll bring you back to here, to the login page, right? So I've already registered, so it didn't send me anything, but that's how that works, right? So if you didn't get the confirmation email for whatever reason, you can come to the login page here and hit resend, and you'll put your email in and it'll send you another one. Okay. The same if you forgot your password, right? This is all here. But we've already done that. So we're gonna log in with our email. All right. That is an invalid login attempt. Always important to remember your password. So I've already done one of these a while ago, but I'm going to make a new one. Okay, so I hit add application. Now, if for some reason you're trying to do this in between phases, that add application button won't be there, right? It'll appear when the next phase starts. So that's not a bug. That's not a problem. It's just, when we're in between phases, it's not available. All right, but we're in a phase now. And we're going to go ahead and put in our taxpayer number. So I'm going to say, I don't know, this is my EIN. I don't know how many numbers are in EIN off the top of my head. I'm going to confirm. It's going to ask me if that's correct. And I'm going to hit yes. And it's going to process that. And so I can hit create application now. All right. So here I am with a brand new application. All it has is my taxpayer number. So I'm going to basically what I'm going to do is the tax documents that I upload, I'm going to open one of those up, and I'm going to make sure that this looks like my most recent tax document, right? Because that's how we'll verify all that stuff. So we'll say that my tax document, or we'll say I'm using a 1040. All right, we'll say that's my name. My address is 1701 Road Street in Austin, which is Travis County. And that, of course, is in Texas. And my zip code is 78717. I don't know if that's a real Austin zip code or not. This is my phone number in case we need to call you. And then there's the email that I want to be emailed at. And what's my location name? Well, it's Dinosaur Tacos. All right. And we'll say that it's my address and my location address are the same. That won't always be the case, but sometimes it is. So Austin, Travis County, Texas. All right, cool. Oh, and the zip code again, 78717. All right, and I've already got my EIN, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that up and plug it in here. Should probably put the dash in there. EINs have a dash. And then I'm going to pull this down, and here are all of our eligible NAICS codes, and we know mine is 722 because we checked my tax form earlier, and then we did the search. And then I'll have to know my ownership code. We'll say I'm a sole ownership, right? So there we go. Now, if you weren't a sole ownership, maybe you were a partnership, right? It's going to want your partner's name. So for this example, we'll say I have a partner, and his name is Jimmy Tacos. We named the business after Jimmy. All right. So Jimmy and I are real close, so he gave me his social, and we'll plug that in there, and we can save, and we'll go up here to eligibility. So this one wants to know what kind of services I provide. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm a taco shop, so I sell tasty tacos, right? Cool. So now it wants to know, was my business in operation prior to January 20th, 2020? And was it affected by the required closures? Well, yeah, the pandemic hit everybody pretty hard, and my business has been open since 1985. So I hit yes here. Am I privately owned? Not a publicly traded company. Well, I'm not on the stock market. I haven't taken Dinosaur Tacos public yet. So I am a privately owned enterprise. Do I operate within the state of Texas? I do. I'm in Austin. Am I barred from competing for federal awards? Well, that's kind of a scary question. So I go and I look at all this stuff and I read about it. I click on maybe the little info bubble here, have a look at that. And I decide that I'm not barred, right? I sell tacos. I don't get into anything that would get me barred from federal awards. So I answer this one as no. All right. So what's the next one? Am I otherwise eligible for grant funding under this program? Well, I've read all about it. I read all the information available, and I've decided that I am in fact eligible. So am I accessible to the public? Sure. Yeah, I have regular business hours. I'm open. People can come see me and eat my tacos and have a good time. Am I a mobile service like a food truck? No, I'm not. I've thought about starting one, but I'm not currently. So I'm going to go with no. All right. So that's all filled out. We're going to hit save. And we're going to go up to assessment. All right. So how many employees did I have in 2020? So in 2020, I had 10 employees. In 2021, it was kind of a down year, so I had to let some guys go, so I only had 7. But this year, I'm back up to 10, right? And so this number is going to come off of my most recent quarterly 941. Okay, these two can be yearly averages, right? But this is going to come right off my most recent 941. Okay. Is the entity veteran owned? Yeah, I'm a veteran. I'll go ahead and take that. So now I got to upload my VA service verification letter. So I'm going to open that up and find my VA letter. There it is. And I'm going to upload that. All right, cool. So now it wants to know how much federal COVID relief funding I received. Okay, so COVID relief funding, that's basically anything I didn't have to pay back, right? So like Paycheck Protection Program. We'll say I got, I don't know, 50,000 from the Paycheck Protection Program. That's all I got. All right, so that's that. Am I a small business? I am, because my employee threshold is below the threshold for small businesses. Am I a nonprofit other than a CVB or DMO? Well, I'm not a CVB or a DMO. Those are like destination marketing organizations, that sort of thing. And I'm not a nonprofit, so I answer no to that one. Cool. All right, and now what's my 941? So I do file a 941, so I can go and grab that. There we go, 941. So that's uploaded. Now, remember, if you have a third-party provider, you can upload that letter that I showed you on the front page. Or if you don't file this, you can simply upload a memo that states that you're not required to file a 941, okay? All right, so we're all good here. I can save this. Continue on. So reimbursement request, all right? So this is the fun part, right? This is where I get to say, how much money I spent on certain things that are eligible, right? Like payroll, rent, lease, and utility, or COVID mitigation, right? So in this example here, I'm just going to go ahead, since I already uploaded a 941, I can use that to prove my payroll. So I'll say this is the date of the expense was July 1st, 2022. And I'll say it's payroll. And the amount is $15,000, right? And I'll go back and I'll get that 941 again. And I'll upload it and that'll spit it out down here, right? So this caps out at 20,000. You can upload here as much as you or as little as you want. Either way, it's still going to cap at 20,000. So I'm only at 15 right now, and for the sake of the example, I'll just enter another thing. Let's say I had some lease costs, right? I got to lease my building. I don't own that, and I pay a king's ransom per month for this building. All right, so I'm going to choose another file, and that's my invoice right there for my rent. All right, I'm going to upload that, and that's all the expenses I have. So those will be there, and we'll be able to look at those when we review your application. Okay, so I go to narrative. All right, and so here it wants me to briefly describe the negative economic impact suffered by the business during COVID. Okay, so let's say taco sales declined during pandemic. All right, so you might want to write a little more than that, but I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me just peck away at the keyboard. All right, so now I have to identify how the expenditures on the reimbursement request there, the budget expenditures, address the identified need or impact. So my taco sales declined, and I'm trying to get my payroll and lease covered. So I'm going to write, grant funds. Why I don't need to capitalize that. Grant funds will help hire, will help hired payroll cost. There we go. All right. You can tell I didn't put too much thought in that. You guys might want to put a little more in there. So you're going to save it. Okay. Now we're going to go to loss, right? So this says total Texas sales. What we mean here basically is your revenue, right? So again, we'll pull up the Schedule C, right? So what we want basically is your gross receipts, okay? Gross receipts. So for 2019, we'll say I made 100,000. Pretty good year for my taco shop, right? And I'll show you guys where that will be on some other forms. On your 1065, gross receipts again. On the 990, so the 990s, again, a little more complicated. That's going to be line 12, total revenue, right? And the 1120 is going to be, again, gross receipts, okay? So I'm using the 1040 Schedule C, and I look at my 2020. 2020 was a bad year. I only made 25,000 that year, okay? And then in 2021, things bounced back, but they weren't quite as good as 2019, all right? So I've got all this in here. Now I have to upload my my proof of that, right? So I've got my 2019 1040 here, nice and easily labeled, and you can do a PDF. You can do, so my 2020 1040 is a JPEG, right? You can upload a JPEG if you want. So basically any kind of standard file, even a zip file, if you wanted to zip your stuff up, you could do that. Where's my 2021? There it is. All right. So that's all there to back that up, right? And so what happens over here is you have to show a financial loss from either 2019 to 2020 or 2020 to 2021. So what happens over here is it shows my loss between 2019 and 2020 as 75,000, right? That's a $75,000 reduction. Now my loss from 2020 to 2021, it shows zero because my revenue increased, right? So down here, it's going to show my greatest loss. As long as you're throwing a number up here, like 75,000, you're eligible for this portion of grant, right? You get that criteria is checked off, right? So I had 75,000 loss. I'm good to go. Now, even though it was 75,000, the grant still caps at 20,000. Now, if I lost, say, I only made 30,000 here, right? That's 5,000. That's where your grant's going to cap out right there at 5,000. Okay. So we're going to save that. And we're going to go to the certification page, right? And here we're going to see, this is where you, you swear and attest that this is all good and true. And you're going to click certification, right? So if you haven't filled something out, if you've missed something, you haven't uploaded something, it won't allow you to certify. Okay, so you'll have to go back through and finish filling things out. But for me, I've done this a couple times. I know my way around. And for you, you've watched this video, you're well prepared. It's going to let you certify. All right, so then you click certify. Okay, and it's going to show you here, right? This is the one I just did, 914. All right. And it's in the submitted status. So I can come back and log in at any point and check the status, right? So if it says in progress, that means I haven't finished, right? And I can edit it. That's what action means. If it says submitted, that means it's going to be reviewed, and then it'll go on. It might say accepted, which means it's continuing through the process, and all these things. So you can come in and check this at any time, right? So that's basically the grant process, the grant application process in a nutshell. It's pretty simple. We tried to make this as easy as possible. So if you have any questions or you get lost, you can call us. Sometimes it takes us a while to get to our voicemails, but feel free to email us here, right? I leave that open when I'm at home. Sometimes, not always, I might answer it at 9:30 on a Wednesday night. I do my best. So go ahead and get in contact with us and we'll help you out as best we can. All right. So that's all. And enjoy the rest of your day.